Hello, I'm Elora. Tonight, I'll guide you to a land that only awakens in the quietest hours of night, a place between dream and reality, where silence speaks and the moonlight whispers stories. If your heart longs to return again, follow me. More stories are waiting. You awaken to the gentle rustling of reeds around your boat. Elora opened her eyes slowly. Moonlight danced across the calm waters, and something soft, something distant, called to her through the night air. The wind carried whispers tonight, not words, but feelings, memories that floated like silk scarves through the darkness. She sat up in her small wooden boat, feeling the gentle rocking beneath her. The whispers grew stronger, pulling at her heart, drawing her toward the shore, where ancient cliffs rose like sleeping giants against the star-filled sky. She knew these sounds, these feelings. They were messages carried by the wind from hearts that had loved and lost and dreamed. Your eyelids grow heavy as the gentle breeze stirs the water lilies, and you drift into peaceful sleep. The whispers grow clearer now, guiding you toward the moonlit shore. Elora stepped from her boat, bare feet touching the soft sand, warm from the day's sun. The whispers surrounded her like a gentle embrace, leading her up the winding path. Each step felt like floating, the earth soft beneath her, the night air caressing her skin. She could feel the presence of something beautiful, something forgotten, waiting just ahead. The wind played with her hair, lifting it gently, as if invisible hands were guiding her toward a mystery that her heart already understood. She walked slowly, breathing deeply, the salt air filling her lungs, the whispers growing stronger, more insistent, but never urgent, always gentle. Your breathing slows, matching the rhythm of the waves, and you sink deeper into tranquil rest. The path winds upward through soft grass and wildflowers. Elora climbed the gentle slope, her feet finding their way, as if she had walked this path 1,000 times before. The whispers were clearer now, carrying fragments of feeling, pieces of dreams. Lavender and jasmine scented the air, their fragrance mixing with the salt breeze, creating a perfume that spoke of summer evenings and quiet moments and hearts that had once been full. The moonlight painted everything silver, the grass beneath her feet, the flowers that nodded in the breeze, her own hands as she reached out to touch the night. She could see the cliff edge ahead, where the land met the sky, and the whispers seemed to gather, like a chorus, waiting for her arrival. Each breath came easier now, each step lighter, as if the very air was lifting her, carrying her towards something wonderful. Your muscles relax completely as the night breeze carries you deeper into peaceful slumber. At the cliff's edge, something magical waits in the darkness. Elora reached the clifftop and gasped softly at the sight before her. The air shimmered with thousands of tiny lights, like fireflies, but more beautiful, more ethereal. They were letters made of light, floating gently in the night air. Each one glowed with a soft, warm radiance, some golden, some silver, some the color of dawn. They danced in the breeze, rising and falling, like leaves on an autumn wind, But these were not leaves, these were messages, written by hearts but never sent. The whispers she had heard were their voices, calling out, hoping to be heard after so many years of silence. Elora stood still, watching in wonder as the letters swirled around her, like a gentle snowfall of dreams and hopes and love. Your heart rate slows as the glowing letters surround you, and you drift into deeper peace. Among the floating letters, Elora finds the perfect spot. She walked forward slowly until she found a smooth patch of grass overlooking the sea. The letters continued their gentle dance around her, above her, creating a canopy of light. She sat down carefully, crossing her legs, and closed her eyes, feeling the soft grass beneath her, the warm night air, the presence of all these forgotten messages. One letter drifted down, landing softly in her lap. It pulsed with a gentle blue light, and she knew, without knowing how, that it was ready to be read. She opened her eyes and looked down at the letter. It was beautiful, translucent, like spun glass, but warm to the touch. She could feel the love, the longing contained within. The other letter seemed to sense her presence, slowly, gently, beginning to settle, closer to where she sat. Your body sinks deeper into the soft grass, and you let go of all. With gentle fingers, Elora opens the glowing message. She touched the letter lightly, and it opened like a flower, revealing words written in light. Words that spoke of a mother's love for a child grown and gone away. The letter told of quiet mornings when the mother would stand by the window, watching the sunrise, and thinking of her daughter, wondering if she was happy, if she was safe. It spoke of all the things the mother had wanted to say, but never found the courage, words of pride and love and forgiveness that had lived in her heart for so many years. As Elora read, she felt the mother's love, warm and enveloping, like a gentle hug that lasted forever. The letter glowed brighter, then slowly, peacefully dissolved into starlight. Another letter drifted down, this one golden, like sunlight, carrying a different story, waiting to be heard. Your breathing deepens as you feel wrapped in unconditional love, and you sink into serene rest. The golden letter speaks of healing and understanding. This letter, when opened, revealed the words of a father who had made mistakes, who had been too proud to say he was sorry to his son. The words glowed softly, speaking of regret and understanding, and the deep, unchanging love that had always been there, beneath the silence, beneath the hurt. It told of sleepless nights when the father would walk through empty rooms, thinking of conversations that should have happened, of hugs that should have been given. The letter spoke of hope that somehow, somewhere, his son would know that he was loved, that he was forgiven, that he had always been enough. As the words faded into gentle light, Elora felt a weight lifting from her own heart, as if this forgiveness was meant for everyone, including herself. More letters gathered around her, each one carrying its own gift of healing. Your own heart feels lighter as forgiveness flows through you, and you drift deeper into peace. A silver letter shares memories of wonder and innocence. The next letter shimmered like moonbeams, And when it opened, it revealed the dreams of a child who had wanted to fly, to touch the clouds, to dance with the stars. The words spoke of summer afternoons spent lying in grass, watching clouds, and believing that anything was possible, that the world was full of magic and wonder. It told of wishes made on dandelions, of stories whispered to teddy bears, of bedtime prayers that asked for just one more day of adventure. The letter held the child's promise to never grow up, to always believe in magic, even when the world tried to convince otherwise. As Elora read, she remembered her own childhood dreams, the way the world had seemed infinite and full of possibility. The letter glowed warmer, then scattered like stardust. Your own inner child stirs gently, remembering the magic, and you float into dreams of wonder. A pearl-white letter reveals a secret romance with the night. This letter glowed with the soft light of pearls, and when it opened, it revealed the words of someone who had fallen in love with the moon. The letter spoke of lonely nights when the writer would sit by the window and whisper to the moon, sharing secrets and dreams and the deep longing for connection. It told of how the moon had become a friend, a confidant, a lover who listened without judgment, who stayed through the darkest nights, who promised to return even when clouds hid her face. The words were poetry, written in longing and love, and the quiet acceptance of loving something that could never love back in the same way. As the letter faded, Elora looked up at the moon and felt a kinship with this gentle soul who had found love in the most unexpected places. Your gaze turns to the moon, and you feel its peaceful presence, watching over you as you drift into gentle sleep. A letter tinged with lavender light carries the weight of regret. This letter, when touched, revealed words heavy with sorrow and regret, written by someone who had hurt a friend and never found the courage to apologize. The words spoke of shame and sleepless nights, of reaching for the phone 1,000 times but never making the call, of writing letters that were never sent. It told of friendship that had been beautiful and real, and how one moment of anger had shattered everything, leaving only the echo of what might have been. The letter carried the weight of years of wondering if forgiveness was possible, if healing could happen, if love could bridge the gap that pride had created. As Elora read, she felt the writer's pain, but also their love still burning beneath the regret, like a candle that had never been extinguished. Your own heart opens to forgiveness for yourself and others, and you sink deeper into compassionate rest. A golden letter holds the unspoken lessons of a lifetime. This letter, warm and glowing like autumn leaves, contained the words of a grandmother who had watched her family grow and change and move away. The words spoke of wisdom gained through years of watching and loving and letting go, of all the things she had wanted to teach but never had the chance. It told of small moments that held great meaning, of the importance of kindness and patience, and the way love grows when it's given freely. The letter spoke of recipes for more than food, recipes for happiness and healing, and the art of finding joy in simple things, like rain on windows and children's laughter. As the words glowed and faded, Elora felt the grandmother's love wrapping around her like a warm blanket, promising that wisdom and love live on. Even when the voice is silent, you feel the warm embrace of ancestral love, and you drift into the safety of deep, peaceful sleep. A rainbow-colored letter bursts with creative longing. This letter shimmered with all the colors of the rainbow, and when it opened, it revealed the dreams of an artist who had never shared their work. The words spoke of paintings hidden in closets, of songs hummed only in private, of stories written in journals that no one had ever read. It told of the fear of not being good enough, of criticism and judgment and the way dreams can wither when they're kept in darkness too long. The letter carried the weight of creativity unexpressed, of beauty that had never been shared, of the deep need to create, battling against the deeper fear of failure. As Elora read, she felt the artist's longing, their passion burning bright despite the fear, and she wished she could tell them that their art was already enough. Your own creativity stirs gently in your dreams, and you float into a world of endless possibility. A letter with wanderlust speaks of journeys never taken. This letter seemed to move, even while still, as if it carried the wind of 1,000 distant places. When it opened, it revealed the words of someone who had dreamed of travel. The words spoke of maps studied by lamplight, of guidebooks with pages worn soft from turning, of postcards collected but never sent. It told of fears that had kept feet planted on familiar ground, of responsibilities and obligations that had grown like vines around dreams of adventure. The letter carried the scent of distant spices, the sound of foreign languages, the feeling of wind from places never visited but always imagined. As the words faded, Elora felt the traveler's longing and wondered if perhaps dreams of journey were journeys in themselves. Your spirit feels light and free, ready to explore the landscapes of sleep and dream. A letter that hums with unplayed music. This letter seemed to vibrate with melody, even in silence. When it opened, it revealed the words of a musician whose songs had never been heard. The words spoke of melodies that came in dreams, of lyrics written on napkins and scraps of paper, of instruments that sat silent in corners. It told of the fear of performing, of being truly seen through music, of the vulnerability that comes with sharing the deepest parts of one's soul. The letter carried the echo of songs unsung, of harmonies that existed only in the musician's mind, of the deep need to share, battling against the fear of exposure. As Elora read, she could almost hear the music floating on the night breeze, beautiful and haunting and full of love. Music drifts through your dreams, carrying you deeper into the rhythm of peaceful sleep. A letter glows with the warmth of unconditional caring. This letter radiated warmth like sunlight on skin. When it opened, it revealed the words of someone who had wanted to heal the world. The words spoke of hands that longed to comfort, of a heart that felt every pain as if it were their own, of the deep wish to take away suffering. It told of sleepless nights spent worrying about strangers, of prayers whispered for people never met, of the weight of caring too much for a world that often seemed beyond healing. The letter carried the essence of compassion so pure it almost hurt to feel the kind of love that asks for nothing in return. As the words dissolved into gentle light, Elora felt the healer's touch in her own heart and knew that caring was never wasted. Healing energy flows through you, mending any hurt, and you sink into restorative sleep. A letter filled with patient wisdom and endless hope. This letter glowed with the steady light of a candle that never goes out. When it opened, it revealed the words of a teacher whose lessons had never been shared. The words spoke of knowledge, gathered like flowers over years, of wisdom that came from watching and learning, and the deep desire to pass understanding to others. It told of lessons that went beyond textbooks, about kindness and courage, and the way small acts can change the world, one heart at a time. The letter carried the patience of someone who understood that learning takes time, that growth happens in seasons, not moments. As Elora read, she felt the teacher's hope, their belief in the possibility of change and healing, and the way love can be a lesson in itself. Knowledge settles gently in your mind, like seeds that will bloom in dreams. You drift into learning sleep. A letter that smells of earth and growing things. This letter carried the scent of soil and rain and growing things. When it opened, it revealed the words of someone who had loved the earth. The words spoke of seeds planted with hope, of seasons of waiting and watching, and the deep faith that comes with trusting in growth. It told of hands that had touched the earth with reverence, of the joy found in small sprouts pushing through soil, of the patience required for beauty to unfold. The letter carried the wisdom of cycles of death and rebirth, of the way love planted in hearts can grow into something beautiful and lasting. As the words faded, Elora felt the gardener's peace, the deep satisfaction of knowing that love, like seeds, continues to grow, even after the planter is gone. You feel rooted in peace, growing deeper into the soil of sleep and dreams. A letter worn with the comfort of home and nourishment. This letter was warm to the touch like bread, fresh from the oven. When it opened, it revealed the words of someone who had wanted to feed the world. The words spoke of kitchens filled with the scent of baking, of hands that kneaded love into dough, of the deep satisfaction of creating something that nourished. It told of recipes passed down through generations, of the way food can be a language of love, spoken without words, understood by every heart. The letter carried the warmth of hospitality, of tables set for friends who never came, of meals prepared with love and eaten alone. As Elora read, she felt the baker's love nourishing her own heart and knew that some gifts are given not for recognition, but for the joy of giving. Warmth spreads through your body, nourishing every cell, and you sink into the comfort of peaceful sleep. A letter that whispers of adventures and distant lands. This letter seemed to shimmer with movement, as if stories were trying to escape from within. When it opened, it revealed the words of someone who had lived 1,000 lives in imagination. The words spoke of tales that had never been told, of characters who lived only in the storyteller's mind, of adventures that had taken place in the space between sleeping and waking. It told of the magic of words, the way they could transport and transform and heal, of the deep need to share wonder with others. The letter carried the essence of all stories ever told and never told, the rhythm of narrative that beats like a heart in every human chest. As the words dissolved, Elora felt the storyteller's gift flowing through her and knew that every life is a story worth telling. Stories dance through your dreams, carrying you to places of wonder and magic and peaceful rest. A letter that shines with steadfast devotion. This letter pulsed with a steady, rhythmic light, like a beacon in the darkness. When it opened, it revealed the words of someone who had kept the light burning. The words spoke of long nights spent watching the sea, of the quiet satisfaction of being a guide for those who were lost in darkness. It told of storms weathered alone, of the faith required to keep the light shining, even when no ships were visible on the horizon. The letter carried the strength of dedication, the peace that comes from knowing your purpose and fulfilling it quietly, without recognition. As Elora read, she felt the lighthouse keepers' steadfast love, their commitment to being a beacon of hope in a world that sometimes seemed very dark. A gentle light shines within you, guiding you safely to the shores of deep, peaceful sleep. A letter that speaks of quiet guardianship and gentle care. This letter felt soft like wool warmed by the sun. When it opened, it revealed the words of someone who had watched over others with quiet devotion. The words spoke of hillsides, green and peaceful, of the responsibility of caring for those who could not care for themselves, of the gentle strength required for protection. It told of nights spent under stars, of the deep peace that comes from knowing that love sometimes means simply being present, being watchful. The letter carried the essence of protection, not the fierce kind, but the gentle, patient presence that says, "You are safe, you are loved, you are not alone." As the words faded, Elora felt the shepherd's peace, the quiet certainty that love is often about staying rather than going. You feel watched over, protected, and cared for as you drift into the safety of sleep. A letter that speaks in the language of the soul. This letter seemed to be written in light itself. When it opened, it revealed words that moved like music, like wind through trees. The words spoke of feelings too deep for ordinary language, of the way the heart sometimes needs to sing, even when no one is listening. It told of beauty found in broken things, of the way pain can become poetry if you hold it gently enough. The letter carried the rhythm of heartbeats, of breathing, of the tide that moves in and out of every human soul. As Elora read, she felt the poet's heart beating in her own chest and knew that everyone carries poetry inside them, waiting to be discovered. Poetry flows through your dreams like rivers of light, carrying you deeper into the music of sleep. A letter that moves with grace and unspoken rhythm. This letter seemed to sway even in stillness. When it opened, it revealed the words of someone who had danced in secret when the world was sleeping. The words spoke of movement, as prayer, as expression, of the deep need to let the body speak what words could not say. It told of empty rooms where feet had traced stories of joy and sorrow, of the way the heart sometimes needs to move, to heal. The letter carried the grace of all movement, the rhythm that lives in every beating heart, the dance that happens between breath and stillness. As the words dissolved into gentle, swaying light, Elora felt the dancer's freedom, the way movement can be a kind of prayer. Your body sways gently with the rhythm of dreams, and you dance softly into sleep. A letter filled with all the stories never shared. This letter whispered like pages turning in a gentle breeze. When it opened, it revealed the words of someone who had loved books more than people. The words spoke of quiet halls filled with knowledge, of the deep peace that comes from being surrounded by stories and wisdom and dreams. It told of books that had never been read, of stories waiting patiently on shelves for someone to discover their magic. The letter carried the silence of libraries, the reverent hush that comes in the presence of accumulated human wisdom. As Elora read, she felt the librarian's love for stories and knowledge, and the way books can be friends when people feel too difficult to understand. Stories from 1,000 books carry you gently into the library of dreams. A letter that ticks with the rhythm of moments. This letter seemed to pulse with the steady rhythm of time itself. When it opened, it revealed the words of someone who had tried to hold moments still. The words spoke of gears and springs, of the careful, patient work of measuring time while wishing it would slow down. It told of clocks that had been crafted with love, each one an attempt to capture the precious, fleeting nature of now. The letter carried the wisdom of time, the understanding that moments are gifts to be treasured, not hoarded. As the words faded, Elora felt the clockmaker's reverence for time and the deep understanding that love exists outside of time entirely. Time slows and stops as you sink into the timeless space of sleep. A letter that connects all stories into one tapestry. This letter felt like silk between her fingers. When it opened, it revealed the words of someone who had seen the connections between all things. The words spoke of threads that connect every heart to every other heart, of the pattern that emerges when you step back far enough to see. It told of the way every story is part of a larger story, every love part of a greater love, every dream woven into the fabric of hope. The letter carried the understanding that nothing is separate, that every forgotten letter is part of the same message of love. As Elora read, she felt the weaver's vision, the way all the letters she had read were threads in the same beautiful tapestry. You feel woven into the fabric of love, connected to all, and you drift into the unity of sleep. More letters gather as dawn approaches. As the night grew deeper, more letters drifted down like snow, each one carrying its own story of love and loss and hope. Elora read letter after letter, each one a window into a heart that had loved and dreamed and hoped and feared. There were letters from children to parents who had already passed, letters from lovers separated by distance and time. There were letters of gratitude that had never been sent, letters of apology that had come too late, letters of love that had been too frightening to share. Each letter, as it was read, dissolved into starlight, becoming part of the night sky forever, a reminder that love never truly dies. The pile of letters grew smaller as the night grew deeper, and Elora felt the weight of all of this love settling gently in her heart. Your heart grows larger to hold all this love, and you sink deeper into peace. The wind speaks its thanks for witness and release. As the last few letters drifted down, the wind itself seemed to whisper its gratitude to Elora for listening, for witnessing, for caring. The whispers spoke of the relief of finally being heard, of the peace that comes when secrets are shared with someone who understands. The wind told her that these letters had been waiting for someone with a heart big enough to hold. All their stories without judgment. It spoke of the way love shared becomes lighter, how forgiveness witnessed becomes healing for everyone. The wind promised to carry these stories to those who needed to hear them, to whisper healing into hearts that had forgotten how to hope. As the wind grew quiet, Elora felt the deep satisfaction of having served as a witness to love in all its forms. You feel the wind's gratitude, and you drift into the blessing of peaceful sleep. As night prepares to give way to day, the eastern sky began to lighten just slightly with the promise of dawn. The last few letters glowed more brightly as if the approaching light was calling them home. Elora watched as the final letter, a small, simple one, drifted down into her hands. When she opened it, she found only 3 words written in light. "Thank you, beloved." As this letter dissolved into the morning breeze, Elora felt a deep sense of completion, of having been part of something sacred and beautiful. The cliff grew quiet. The whispers faded to the gentle sound of waves against the shore below. The night had given its gifts and now was ready to rest. Elora stood slowly, feeling the peace that comes after witnessing great love. She looked once more at the sea, now painted with the colors of dawn. Your own heart feels complete and peaceful as you prepare for the deepest rest. Elora finds her way back to peaceful sleep, with the letters now returned to light and love. Elora walked slowly back down the cliff path. The grass was soft beneath her feet, wet with morning dew. She reached her boat, still floating peacefully at the shore. The water was calm, mirror-like, reflecting the lightening sky. She stepped into the boat and lay down on the soft cushions. The boat rocked gently with the rhythm. of her breathing. The sun was rising somewhere beyond the horizon. But here, in this quiet place, it was still the perfect time for sleep. Elora closed her eyes and felt all the love from all the letters settling around her like a warm blanket of stars. She knew that somewhere hearts were healing, that love was finding its way to those who needed it most, that nothing beautiful is ever truly lost. Your eyelids grow heavy as the gentle waves rock you, and you drift into the deepest, most peaceful sleep, surrounded by love and dreams and the promise that all is well. The boat drifts gently on the quiet water, and you sink into the soft embrace of eternal rest. Rest now, beloved, in the knowledge that you are part of the great tapestry of love that connects all hearts across time and space. Let the gentle rhythm of the waves carry you into the deepest, most peaceful sleep.